recording live from the beautiful News 12 Long Island studios in Bethpage, New York, where today we have the privilege of sitting down with news anchor Kevin Maher to talk about broadcasting. Kevin is a 17-time Emmy Award winner and was named the 2021 New York Sports Broadcaster of the Year by the National Sports Media Association. Hi everyone, I'm Hazel. Before we get started, we'd like to thank Hannah Gropper for inviting us to News 12 Long Island. By the way, Hannah is not only a producer at News 12, but also a former student at PS 101. So, let me start with this. We've been so inspired and impressed by our tour today. What inspired you to become a news reporter and broadcaster?
I always liked sports, and I grew up with people telling me, you never stop talking. So I put those two things together, and I said, well, if I like to talk, I'd like to talk about sports. And then I just did some research when I was older than you in high school about this career, and I thought, wow, I can get paid to do all that, and I can meet athletes like that, and I could be like those people I would see on TV, and that's what inspired me.
So, what do you like a particular sport to talk about?
Not really. I like all of them. If I had to, do you want me to choose one? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll choose one. I would probably say football. I'm a Jets fan. Don't hold that against me. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Helena?
Thanks, Hazel. Hi, I'm Helena. It's so nice to meet you, especially considering the fact that you've won 17 Emmy Awards.
I'm a really good singer, though, if you want me to.
Can you explain to everyone what an Emmy Award is?
Sure. An Emmy Award is the highest award in television, and they give them out for all sorts of things. They give them out for being a reporter, being a photographer, being a writer, the graphics, the production. And so in our case, we have state Emmy Awards. So you compete against everybody in New York. So all the New York City stations, News 12, the stations in Syracuse and Rochester and Buffalo, the Yes Network, SNY, MSG, websites now are all part of this. And so you put your best stuff out there in different categories, and then they choose the winner.
Wow, that's fantastic. You've told us already that you enjoy many interesting stories reporting them. Which one would you say is your favorite that you've ever talked about?
Boy, that's a really good one. I don't have a favorite, but I like doing the stories about people. It's great covering the Mets playoffs and the Yankee playoffs and the NFL draft, but I like meeting the people that everyone doesn't know that did these really cool things and then telling our audience about those people who did the really cool things.
Have there been any recent stories that you've enjoyed really telling?
Yeah, sure. A bunch of them. We did one about a boy who was in a wheelchair and he played unified basketball. Do you guys know what unified basketball is? So it's sports for people with handicaps, and they play with able-bodied kids. And this young boy, he wanted to make a basket, and he told his mom, I just want to make a basket. I want to make a basket. The problem was he didn't have the ability because of his handicap to do this. Everyone knows basketball. You have to be able to do this. So the teachers and his fellow students tried, well, how do we get him to score a basket? And what they did was they bought a slingshot on Amazon, a giant slingshot, and they allowed him to grab his hand. He can pull. So they set it up for him where he could pull, and the ball would go up and in. Took them to the last game of the year for them to finally make a basket. And he finally made the basket, and everybody went crazy. People were crying. And I remember the kid said, now I feel like a basketball player. That's a really cool story.
Wow, that's so cool.
I'll show it to you.
Television broadcasting needs to be very precise. Once in a while, we have something go wrong during our live newscast.
Me too.
Has anything ever gone completely wrong for you on live TV?
Sure has. Absolutely. Sometimes the camera shuts off, the teleprompter shuts off, the little backpack that you guys saw, right, that Brian, that shuts off. Things do happen. And that's where I told you guys, television is teamwork, right? Then all of a sudden the team behind the scenes has to figure out a way to correct the problem. Or you on the fly have to figure out a way to correct the problem. You know what the hard part is? You have to make sure the audience doesn't know there's a problem. That's the hard part. So in your brain's telling you, uh-oh, but what's coming out here can't be, uh-oh, You just have to be smooth. It's hard, and sometimes it doesn't work, and that's okay. And you just go, we'll be right back.
How did you handle your emotions and deal with the situation those times? Like,
It's a good question. How did I deal with my emotions at times? I think it depends on the level of what's going on. If it's a simple thing, like the teleprompter doesn't work, I know there's scripts in front of us, so we just look down and we continue reading. Sometimes it's out of your hands, right? Sometimes something happens that I can't control on TV. I can't control that camera. I can't control how things work. And then again, you just have to be smooth. And they talk to you in your little earpiece and they'll tell you, all right, hang on, just stretch for a little bit. Give me 10 seconds, keep going. Or they'll say what to do. So as you're talking, you have to listen to the person in your ear who's also telling you what to do. But sometimes, there have been times when I was younger in this career and I went, what do I do? And that's okay, right? Nobody is perfect in this business. Even the best person on TV that you could watch has made a mistake. And that's okay.
thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Nico?
Thanks, Helena. Hi, I'm Nico. In your opinion, what's the most exciting part of being a news anchor? Has there been a specific moment or experience that stands out to you the most?
I think that people rely on you a lot for information, especially in trying times. During the pandemic, there was a big responsibility for us here. A lot of what we were doing was telling people how to be safe, right? And people didn't know what was going on and where to go and how do I live and where do I go to get this. And every day there was something new coming out. What was right? What was wrong? That was a big responsibility. And at the same time, keeping ourselves safe, because we just can't hang out here when everything is happening in the world. So we had to figure out ways to keep ourselves safe while also reporting the news. And a lot of it was coming in very quickly. Every day was something different. And it was scary, right? It was a little scary times for everybody. So our job was not to scare people, keep everybody safe. And that was probably the most, to me in my career, that was probably the most responsibility we've ever had, to do a good job. And big storms is another one.
Thank you. Hi. Paxton?
Hi, I'm Paxton. BTV is a live 5-minute newscast for everyone in our school every morning. And sometimes we get a little nervous before we go live. Do you ever get nervous before you go on air? And how do you handle it?
Take a big breath. That's most important. And know that you've done this before, right? And you'll probably, anything that goes wrong, okay, I can handle. But the most important thing is be prepared with what you're talking about. You guys have scripts. I read the scripts ahead of time and read them out loud. Don't read them like this, because that's not how you're going to talk. You read them out loud. You look a little silly because you're talking to yourself and people walk by and going, what are you doing? But that's okay, because it puts the words in your brain ahead of time, and it also trains your mouth how to say them ahead of time. That's a good way to do it. But yep, it's okay. When you have the prompter, it's a little bit easier. When you're in the field and there is no prompter and you're just winging it, that's when you get a little bit nervous, and that's when you really practice, really practice, really practice. But practice, hopefully, makes perfect.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Megan. Since one of your passions is the love of sports, if you could interview any athlete or sports figure,
Man.
past or present, who would it be and why?
Boy, that's a really, really good one. I don't know. I grew up with the Mets in the mid-1980s when they were really, really good, and they had some really wild characters, like crazy players. I would probably say if I could go back then and interview those guys, like I would love to be your age and interview those guys, because that's who I grew up watching. I can't imagine being a 5th grader or 6th grader and going in to meet them at that time, because everything about me was the Mets. I wrote their names on my sneakers and all that stuff. I couldn't imagine like going to do that. But if you gave me the opportunity to go back in time and I could be a 5th grader and interview the 1986 Mets, do I sound old when I say 1986?
No.
Okay, good. Thank you. You're my best friends. That's what I probably would like to do. That would be fun. That's a good question.
Yeah. So, thank you for joining us this special BTV interview. This has been a special treat for all of us.
Go BTV! Good job. You guys are good. Those are really good questions. Really thought out questions. I like those. Nice.
For Hazel, Helena, Nico, Paxton, and Mr. Hyman, I'm Megan, BTV News.
Nice. You guys were great. You guys are so good. Excellent.